go there.
I know. Yeah, I asked you about it. I was like, so let's talk about this. And you're like, I've kind of been avoiding this topic.
Hello. Today I'm sharing an interview that I did with the lovely Seishan of Cultivated Healer. She's interviewing me today and asking some really hard-hitting questions. We're talking financial and we're talking how this channel got started. So if you're interested in any of that, stay tuned for the interview.
The Social Work Scrapbook, the YouTube channel itself, that came about out of my love for beauty and fashion and style tips and all of that.
Yes.
And then I one day said, let me type in social work in here and see what I find. And I was just so disappointed. I didn't
Crickets, right?
I didn't see anything. And then the one video that I did see was, it was perpetuating the negative connotations.
So that stigma being, and I was totally bought into this too before I got into the field, was that there's no money in social work. There's a high stress level, high caseloads. You got to do some really ugly things within the system, and I just don't want to be a part of that.
I need to put my passion out there. I need to throw my insight into the YouTube space so that whoever does search social work next can see a different light to it.
I love it. No, I completely agree. I think maybe there's a little bit more now, and I'm sure you've had an influence on that, but a lot of it can be pretty dry, really just like horror stories, which, there's definitely all different sides, but that's why I love your platform so much. So what are the main things that people are asking you about? So you've been doing this for how long has it been since you started the YouTube and now?
I think this is maybe 2.5 years.
Okay.
I guess money. How much do you make? And I'm like, those I try to stay away from.
Yeah.
But when you approached me with this interview, I said, let's just do it. Seishan, let's just go there.
I know. Yeah. I asked you about it. I was like, so let's talk about this. And you're like, I've kind of been avoiding this topic. I definitely want to let you speak for yourself, but it was you're like, my perspective may not be or is likely not the norm. I just have a different perspective on this.
Money is a huge concern, and understandably so. Going back to the beginning of my social work journey while I was in college, I was super stressed, and that's because we go to college to be successful.
Right? We want to make the money, which means making money. And we think of the doctor and the lawyer and the engineer and those types of jobs. And we stray away from teacher and school counselor and social worker. We kind of just put that on the back burner. But I feel that success is more about following your passion and really being aligned to who you are and going into a job or into a field where you're making a difference and you're impacting others, and that fuels you in a completely different way, which is hard to explain to someone that's new. And I get that when you're first starting, it's like, yeah, but how much money am I going to be able to live? And that's where I am a little different. I refuse to play keeping up with the Joneses.
I grew up in a working class family. My mom and dad worked their butts off to get us, me and my brothers and sister, what we needed. And so we didn't go without, but we also learned how to live within our means. And I continue that to this day. So there does seem to be a trend towards simplicity and minimalism. And that honestly is what I've been doing before it was trendy.
My dad would always say, act your wage. You don't take out credit.
Yeah.
And so I ended up buying a home. I own my home with my husband, and we support a family of 4. So you're not going to be living on the streets or anything like that as a social worker or school social worker. But we do live in a home around the community in the neighborhood that I grew up in, which is not the best, but it grounds me and it kind of fuels me to keep going and to keep striving for more.
That's something that I want to give to my children as well. I think it will make them well-rounded people and give them a lens that you don't get by having luxury That being said, I'm not living day to day. I'm able to pay all my bills. In my household, we are supporting a family of 4, my husband and I. We bought our house. We own 2 vehicles. We're not going without. We have Netflix. We have the things that we want and need. The space that we have with social media, yes, it's a blessing. We're able to connect, but we're also able to compare a whole lot, which isn't healthy. And I try to stay out of all of that, try to be as real as I can on YouTube and on Instagram to share that it's not all about materialism. It's not about that at all. I'm more about finding financial peace and living on less than what you make. I know that's not very popular, and I warned Seishan that it wasn't going to be a popular viewpoint, but I felt like it had to be shared.
And then you posted in your stories, I think last night, income breakdowns.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the most, like what maybe people are most drawn to, like that page?
Yeah, children and families is quite up there, and I think it really depends on the part of the nation and the world that you live in. Medical social workers are also up there, and then private practice and mental health is also a growing field. So the field is growing overall, which is a good thing. But what I think most people, like the horror stories really come from when you kind of stop at an associate's or even a bachelor's where you're doing strictly case management. You're not really getting into clinical interventions or one-on-one guidance or counseling or that sort of thing. You're not having sessions. You're just kind of doing the 9 to 5. And I did not stop at a bachelor's. My bachelor's was in psychology. And to be honest, I didn't even think I was going to be employable with that. So I went straight into my master's because I knew that was going to be applicable. That was going to get me a job somewhere.
To put this into a framework as well, I went to school back in 2007 and 8 when the job market was not its best, and there were a lot of college graduates leaving the field, graduating, getting their degree, and then being completely unemployable. So that was a very scary time to be on the job hunt. But what I found was what I was learning in the field of social work was very applicable and it was very needed. And I started seeing that there wasn't really competition for the jobs that I was going for. So I was able to just land into the job of my choice rather quickly.
Jennifer Lynn has a question. Did you see a big jump in money from LMSW to LCSW? Did you get your LMSW?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I got licensed like 2 months after I graduated. That was always pushed at UT to get the license. And that's needed because just from MSW to LSW, there will be a difference in the types of jobs that you can apply for. And for LCSW, yes, there's a sense of freedom because honestly, I get letters, emails, job offers all the time for clinical work.
I don't want you to think that I'm anti-money. There are ways to get ahead, and my biggest advice is to keep pursuing. Pursue education. Education is the key to unlocking financial freedom. So what I mean by that is the struggles that you hear about social workers making less than people that are working for minimum wage and all those kind of horror stories that you hear, they're true only if you stop yourself before you get to your peak. With a master's in social work, you unlock so many more job opportunities. Not gonna lie, some of them are case management and they can be, I guess, paying within the $36,000 to $40,000 a year type of pay scale. Don't stop there. Go for your clinical license. That is gonna unlock so much more opportunities.
And definitely getting your license makes you more marketable. Like for me, I didn't necessarily think I was going to do psychotherapy. I ended up doing it and really loving it, but I was always of the mind, like, I'm going to get my license, like, regardless, because why not? Do you have a side hustle, or would you consider what you're doing as side hustles? And your thoughts on ways people can build some money on the side, like side ventures that maybe are connected to like being a helper and a healer?
I don't really have a side hustle at this point, just because I value my time with my kids. That's like number one. But a lot of school social workers do work summers. So summer school is higher paying because there's less staff on board. Other school social workers have the opportunity to work 2 jobs. So some of them are adjunct professors on the side, or they teach in a certain capacity, they consult, they're working in private practice of their own part-time, or doing PRN work. There's so much ways to build that side hustle. I'm just not, personally, I'm not there at this time, but I know that the opportunities are there. I am a board certified supervisor now. That was my goal. And so that's has the opportunity to be a major side hustle, so to speak. And I love teaching, and I love sharing my knowledge and insight, especially with newcomers to the field and clinical. So that is a 2-year commitment with a social worker that wants to pursue a clinical journey. And then you do charge for that service that you're providing. So that also has the opportunity to build money there.
Okay, well, let's say thanks for this and everything you do. Much respect for your approach to the money thing and how you prioritize family first. Absolutely, completely agree. I love it. Well, I loved talking to you and seeing your beautiful face live. You are such a giving spirit.
How did I do? That was the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if something stuck out to you, if you want to keep the conversation going, do it over on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most, and I would love to be tagged and love to share what you share on my stories. As always, thanks for tuning in and watching and supporting, and I'm wishing you social work success. Until next time. See ya.